Hey, big cat, welcome to my therapy. This ain't your ordinary world, it's extraordinary. See, I'm a high priestess, light walker, here to guide your way through the waves of life. We'll find a new path to embrace. Tarot, astrology, numerology in our hands. No weapon formed against you shall ever stand. We're winners, we never quit, we always keep on going. Quitters never win, but we're always growing. Hey there, big cat, let's chase the highest vibration. Together we'll create a new world, a brand new nation.
Namaste! Grand Rising, Big Cat Fire Signs. Welcome or welcome back to Big Cat Astrology, Big Cat Wave. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. The planetary hot topics to add to your almanac over the next 7 days. Fire signs, rising sun and moon, the 7th to the 13th of December 2025. When purpose calls, excuses go silent. Activated houses, the 9th of expansion and faith, and the 2nd of fire signs, worth and voice. This week rips off the last layer of doubt you've been carrying. People's true intentions slip through their tone, their timing, and their tiny little mistakes, and you catch every single one. Your confidence snaps back like it was never gone, and suddenly you stop negotiating with mediocrity. A belief you've outgrown finally breaks, and the relief hits harder than the truth ever could. A situation you tolerated becomes the exact thing you refuse to entertain ever again. The universe stops whispering and starts dragging you towards the next level by your destiny edges. The bold truth? Your spirit is done performing CPR on dead situations. Your Chinese zodiac intel, fire signs, for the 7th to 13th of December 2025 is a wood snake year. It evaluates through motive, spiritual accuracy, and disciplined strategy. And because this particular period sits between dog energy and the incoming pig month, truth begins to override emotional convenience. Snake, monkey, and dragon rise naturally because fire sharpens swift decisions, silent observation, and intuitive action. Meanwhile, tiger, horse, and dog encounter emotional impulses that clash with timing, forcing accountability. Rat, rabbit, and rooster learn that analysis rather than reaction will protect their position through silence, whilst the goat, the ox, and the pig stabilize their internal ground by prioritizing patience over pressure. Altogether, the collective enter a cycle of courage, exposure, and fast karmatic acceleration. Therefore, fire burns away illusions, and only the truth roof, pinkies up, is allowed to stand. Aries, the 9th house of expansion and faith. A belief snaps into alignment, and you stop explaining yourself to people who don't even understand themselves. A boundary you set hits someone harder than expected. Not your problem. Not your monkey. Not your circus. A sudden insight changes your direction with precision. You realize how big your destiny actually is, and you refuse to shrink again. Leo, the 2nd house of worth and voice. Your voice gains gravity. People feel you before they hear you. A money matter starts shifting because you finally stopped settling. Someone tries to downplay your value, and the backlash hits them, not you. You redefine your standards, and everything else adjusts accordingly. Sagittarius, the 9th house of expansion and faith. You make a decision that changes the trajectory of your next chapter. Your intuition becomes instruction rather than suggestion. A long-term goal accelerates the moment you commit fully. Your energy becomes magnetic. People notice the difference immediately. Your personal numerology. On the 7th of December, the personal day is a 7 for deep insight, psychic intelligence, and strategic revelations. On the 13th of December, the personal day is a 4 for structure, discipline, and elevating your foundation. The arc, you begin with clarity and end with command. World astrology. Mercury trining Saturn forces global leaders to confront uncomfortable truths they avoided, leading to structural reform and exposure in government communications. Mars squaring Saturn triggers legal bottlenecks, broader delays, military tension, and stalled international negotiations, all linked to accountability issues. The Moon opposing Pluto ignites public backlash, viral truth-telling, and mass emotional release as sudden agendas finally surface. Neptune direct dissolves illusions in financial systems, revealing international institution mismanagement and prompting global correction. Mercury enters Sagittarius, shifts global narratives towards honesty, whistleblowing, and bold disclosures that challenge public opinion instantly. This week delivers global awakening, exposure, realignment, and karmic consequences. No nation escapes the truth roof. Pinkies up. Helpful initials are prophetic clues tied to real-time planetary transits. Each letter represents a name, a place, or a thing. The astrology bulletins for the next 7 days. On the 7th of December, Mercury in Scorpio trines Saturn in Pisces. Someone finally sees the truth, intentionally or by accident. You gain clarity that stabilizes your next decision. A conversation lands with weight and consequences, as well as ramifications. Your mind becomes sharper than emotions. Commitment forms without fear. Discipline feels natural. You step into authority without trying. The fixed star Deneb al-Jedi, guardian of justice, protecting the righteous and restructuring corrupt systems. Helpful initials H, Q, Z. On the 8th of December, Mars in Sagittarius squares Saturn in Pisces. A delay exposes the weakest link in a situation. You realize impatience has been costing you power. A pressure point forces you into strategy. Someone's excuse collapses under their own weight. A boundary is tested. You do not bend. Discipline defeats chaos. You chose purpose over impulse. The fixed star Fomalhaut, keeper of the sacred intention, punishing deceit and rewarding purity of motive. Helpful initials H, P, Q. On the 9th of December, the Moon in Leo is in opposition to Pluto in Aquarius. An emotional truth erupts with finality. Power struggles become painfully obvious. Someone's manipulation loses all effect on you. Your courage clicks back into place. Pride becomes protection, not ego. A cycle ends abruptly and permanently. Your emotional authority returns home. The fixed star Regulus, crown of the lion, granting victory after confrontation and leadership under pressure. Helpful initials B, K, R. On the 10th of December, Neptune is direct in Pisces. Confusion clears faster than you expected. Illusions dissolve in real time. Your intuition becomes louder than fear. A hidden matter becomes visible. Clarity replaces fantasy. The fixed star Alcanar, guardian of destiny, river, bringing righteous conclusions and spiritual protection. Helpful initials L, M, R. On the 11th of December, Mercury enters Sagittarius. You speak with boldness that shakes the room. A truth you've held back finally leaves your mouth. Your thinking expands and limits collapse. A new plan forms instantly. You refuse to minimize your perspective. The fixed star Antares, heart of the Scorpion, delivering transformative truth and an unstoppable momentum. Helpful initials E, N, W. On the 12th of December, the moon in Libra is trine to Pluto in Aquarius. Emotional balance returns after intense revelations. You negotiate from a position of inner strength. A connection deepens through honesty. Stability is restored with precision. Fixed star Zubin Nel Shameli, scales of heaven, bringing divine justice, clear judgment and karmic balance. Helpful initials U, Z, X. On the 13th of December, Mercury in Sagittarius sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. A conversation becomes the turning point. Truth reveals a hidden power you didn't know you had. A psychological pattern will break. Your voice becomes transformative. You speak with depth, not decoration. The fixed star Altair, the eagle's eye, granted elevated perspective, sharp judgment, and decisive action. Helpful initials D, M, T. Fire signs. You step into the week with clarity. Nobody can knock. Your confidence returns with spiritual authority. Truth becomes your weapon, not your weakness. Your future expands because you refuse to shrink. Faith becomes the fire that carries you forward, never backwards. In the words of Abraham Lincoln, until we meet again on these astrological streets, big cow wave.